Leo wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crouched over the open engine panel. The hum of the mining colony's machines surrounded him, a constant reminder of how fragile life was on this remote planet. The colony, called Astra Outpost, was tucked into a deep valley of jagged rocks, far from the bustling cities of Earth. It was a harsh place, but humans had built it with care, a small miracle among the barren landscape. Leo had been working here for 6 months, repairing old spacecraft and keeping the colony alive. He adjusted a loose panel and stepped back, satisfied. Another ship would be ready to take the miners home in a few hours. For a moment, the evening sky above Astra Outpost seemed calm. The twin suns of the planet were sinking, painting the horizon with shades of orange and purple. Leo leaned against a support beam, rubbing his tired eyes. A sudden shadow fell across the valley. Leo squinted at the sky and froze. It was not the shape of any human spacecraft he had ever seen. A massive ship, larger than any he had studied in the archives, descended slowly toward the colony. Its surface was smooth and metallic, reflecting the sun's light in strange colors. There was an elegance to its movement, almost like it was alive. The alarm systems of the colony began to beep frantically. Lights flashed in the control towers, warning of an unidentified vessel. Colonists rushed out of their buildings, eyes wide with fear. Some hid, while others tried to see what was happening. But Leo stood still, feeling something strange in his chest. He did not feel fear, not yet. He felt curiosity. The ship landed without a sound. Its massive legs extended to the rocky ground, creating small clouds of dust. Then a hatch opened at the front. A ramp extended and a figure began to descend. It was tall, towering over even the largest human, and its skin shimmered in colors that changed with every movement. Its eyes glowed with a pale light, intelligent and commanding. The figure was regal, with a crown-like structure on its head, and it moved with slow, deliberate grace. The crowd whispered, and some screamed. Leo stepped forward, pushing through the throng of frightened colonists. "Stay back," he called, but not with anger, only caution. The figure reached the bottom of the ramp and stopped. It looked around, taking in the humans with what seemed like both curiosity and disdain. "I am the Queen Zalira," the alien said in a voice that was both musical and harsh, vibrating in the air. "Surrender your colony or it will be destroyed." The words were clear, though the sound itself seemed to press against Leo's chest. Everyone froze. Surrender. Destroyed. The weight of those words fell on the colonists like a heavy storm. Mothers held their children tight. Engineers and miners grabbed whatever tools they could, ready to defend their homes. But Leo did not move to attack. Instead, he studied the Queen. There was power in her stance, yes, but there was also something else. A look in her glowing eyes that spoke of a being who had never been met with kindness in its life. Leo felt a strange impulse. Perhaps this was not a moment for fear. Perhaps it was a moment for understanding. "I am Leo," he said, stepping closer. The crowd gasped, unsure of his bravery or his foolishness. "I am the engineer of this colony. You do not need to destroy us. Let's talk first." The Queen turned her head slowly, regarding him with suspicion. "You speak as if my mercy is guaranteed," she said. "Why should I spare humans who have no power?" Leo shook his head. "Power is not only in weapons. It is in choice. In how we act. If you give me a moment, I can show you something." The Queen tilted her head, intrigued by his audacity. Humans had always reacted to her demands with fear or submission. This one spoke without fear, without flattery, without weapons. She allowed him to continue. Leo took a deep breath. He reached into the small pack he always carried, tools, repair kits, and a few basic supplies for emergencies. Today he added something else, ingredients to make a simple meal. He began to prepare a bowl of warm soup using a small portable stove. The colonists watched, bewildered. What was he doing? Was this a trick? The Queen's glowing eyes followed every movement. She expected some trap, some hidden weapon. But Leo only chopped vegetables, added water, and stirred carefully. The aroma of the soup began to fill the air, simple but comforting. It was a smell that reminded humans of home, and even the Queen seemed to pause, curious about this strange ritual. "Food?" she asked. The words were hesitant. She had never known an enemy to offer her sustenance instead of battle. "Yes," Leo said, keeping his hands calm. "It is not magic. It is just warmth. We humans share meals when we want to show trust. You do not need to eat it. But I hope you will, the Queen hesitated. Her mind raced. She had conquered countless worlds, faced armies and rebellions, but never had a being approached her with such calmness. The warmth of the meal seemed to contradict the tension in the air. Finally, she stepped forward. Her towering form cast a shadow over Leo as she bent slightly, accepting the bowl. He held it steady and she lifted it to her glowing lips. When she tasted it, a flicker of surprise passed over her face. The flavor was simple, nourishing, and strange in its effect. It was warmth, not force, not deception. The colonists stared in awe. A human had offered peace through nothing more than kindness and a meal. Leo smiled gently. We humans survive through cooperation, not just conflict. We help each other. We feed each other. We care even when it seems foolish. You can try to destroy us or you can learn something new. The choice is yours. The Queen looked at him, a long pause stretching between them. Her glowing eyes softened slightly, and for the first time she felt a strange emotion, curiosity mixed with respect. Then a loud alarm rang from the colony's control tower. Scouts had spotted reinforcements approaching. The Queen stiffened, ready to test her strength. But Leo remained calm. Even if you must fight, you can still choose to act with honor, he said. Even small gestures matter. The Queen studied the human before her, the one who dared to meet her gaze without fear. She wondered about this strange species, so fragile yet so bold. She wondered how they could survive in such harsh worlds, and she wondered if perhaps there was more to humans than she had been taught. As the sun set completely, the sky darkened, stars twinkling faintly over the jagged mountains. The Queen lowered the bowl and regarded Leo. The colony held its breath, waiting for her next move. She spoke at last. You are unlike any human I have encountered. I will watch you. I will see what you mean by trust and honor. But know this, I am not yet your ally. I am not yet your enemy. This is only the beginning. Leo nodded calmly. I understand, but even the beginning can change everything. The Queen stepped back, her massive form glinting in the last light of the twin suns. The colonists exhaled, relief mixing with wonder. A moment of tension had passed, but the memory of it lingered. Leo returned to his tools, quietly finishing preparations, knowing that tonight, a simple act of warmth had begun a story that would change the fate of the colony forever. Above them, the Queen's ship hovered silently, the stars reflecting off its sleek hull, and in that moment, the first connection between human and alien had been made, not through weapons, not through fear, but through something far older and stronger. Trust, courage, and the simple power of kindness. The night was calm, but the air on Astra Outpost was filled with tension. The colonists could not stop whispering about the arrival of the alien Queen. Her ship hovered silently above the valley, glowing faintly under the stars. Inside the colony, families stayed close together, while workers kept watch over the perimeter. Everyone was curious, anxious, and unsure of what would happen next. Leo returned to his small living quarters. His hands were still warm from cooking the soup, but his mind was restless. He thought about Queen Zalira, the towering alien who had descended from the sky and demanded surrender. He wondered what she truly wanted: power, territory, or something else entirely. He sat on a metal crate and reviewed the small supplies he had. He realized that if he wanted to convince the Queen that humans were worth respect, he needed to show more than just one bowl of soup. Humans had a way of surviving that relied not on fear, but on understanding and cooperation. Leo knew that if he could demonstrate this, it might save the colony. Meanwhile, outside, the Queen observed quietly. Her glowing eyes scanned the colony, studying every human movement. The guards that had accompanied her remained silent, standing tall and rigid. They carried advanced weapons that could destroy buildings with a single strike. The Queen had commanded fear for centuries, but she found herself intrigued by this small group of humans who did not immediately cower. Leo stepped back outside with a small lantern and a tray of supplies. He moved slowly, carefully so as not to startle anyone. The Queen was waiting, her tall form illuminated by the soft light of the lanterns. She raised one hand and spoke in her resonant voice. You still stand, she said. Why do you not kneel? Why do you not beg for mercy? Leo smiled gently. Because mercy is not the same as fear, he replied. And humans do not show strength by submission alone. We show strength by how we treat each other and how we treat others, even when they are different. The Queen's glowing eyes narrowed. Words are easy. Actions are difficult. If humans are truly strong, show me your strength in a way I can understand. Leo nodded. He gestured for the guards to step back. They hesitated, unsure if this human had the right to speak to their queen. The queen, however, did not stop him. He opened a small container and began preparing another warm meal, this time with a little more care and detail. As he worked, he spoke. Humans have survived on harsh planets and hostile worlds because we care for each other. We share what we have, we protect the weak, and we help those in need. Strength is not only in weapons or numbers. Strength is in kindness, courage, and understanding. The queen tilted her head. She had never heard words like these from a creature she had intended to destroy. She watched as Leo stirred the soup, added simple spices, and checked the temperature. The aroma began to fill the air, mixing with the cool night breeze. Even the guards seemed distracted, glancing at the humans as if seeing them for the first time. Leo carefully offered a bowl of the freshly prepared soup to the queen. Her hands hovered above it. "This is not a weapon," he said softly. "This is a gift. You do not have to accept it, but it shows that humans can act without violence. We can choose to share instead of destroy." The queen looked at the bowl. She could have crushed it easily, spilled it, or used it as an excuse to attack. Instead, she accepted it slowly and deliberately. She tasted the soup and her glowing eyes widened slightly. The warmth spread through her in a way she had never expected. It was simple, comforting, and unfamiliar. "Why do you offer this to me?" she asked, her voice softer than before. "Because it is what humans do," Leo replied. "We survive by helping each other. Even when we are afraid, even when we are small or weak, we do not forget to care. That is how we are strong." The queen considered his words. She had conquered countless civilizations, and she had seen fear and destruction everywhere. She had never seen kindness offered to her by someone who could not hope to overpower her. A strange feeling stirred within her, one she did not recognize. Curiosity, perhaps, or respect. To test her further, Leo suggested something bold. "If you wish, I can show you how humans live, how we organize, and how we help each other survive. You will see that strength is not only in arms, but in unity and understanding." The queen hesitated. It went against everything she had learned as a ruler. Observing a civilization without using force or intimidation was not a habit for her. Yet there was something compelling in the human before her. She agreed silently to watch. Leo led her to the colony center where miners and engineers worked together to maintain the power supply. He showed her the water purification systems, explaining how humans ensured clean water for everyone. He introduced her to families who shared their small meals with neighbors. The queen observed quietly, her glowing eyes reflecting the lights of the colony. One young miner, Mara, offered the queen a piece of fruit. Hesitant at first, the queen accepted. The simple act of generosity confused her. She had always expected humans to resist, to fight, or to flee. She had not expected an open hand offered without fear or demand. Leo explained, "This is how humans survive, by helping each other. Even in the hardest times, we do not give up on our community. Strength is not always in fighting. Sometimes it is in caring." The queen turned her attention to the engineering team. She watched as humans lifted heavy machinery together, repaired engines with patience, and shared knowledge freely. They worked in unison, each contributing to the success of the whole. She began to see a different kind of power, one that did not rely on weapons or intimidation. At one point, the queen's curiosity became impossible to contain. She asked Leo, "Do humans always act this way, even when facing death or destruction?" Leo nodded. "We try. We fail sometimes, but we learn. Every challenge is a chance to grow. Fear does not define us. Courage and care do." For the first time, the queen smiled. Not a threatening smile, but one of quiet wonder. She had never seen this in any civilization she had conquered. Humans were fragile, yes, but they were also brave, creative, and full of unexpected kindness. As the night deepened, Leo prepared another bowl of warm soup. This time he invited some of the queen's guards to taste it. They hesitated, unsure what to do, but one guard, young and cautious, accepted. When the warm soup touched his senses, he paused. It was unlike anything he had ever known, simple, nourishing, and comforting. The queen watched silently. Her guards had always obeyed her without question, following orders to destroy and conquer. Yet here they were, hesitating because of a human's simple act. She realized that perhaps there was a lesson in this, one she had not understood before. Leo spoke softly, addressing the Queen. If humans can show strength in ways you do not expect, imagine what we could accomplish together. We do not need to fight. We can build, we can learn, and we can share. The Queen looked at the humans around her, and for the first time, she considered another possibility. Perhaps conquest was not the only path. Perhaps there was value in observing, understanding, and even respecting those she once thought weak. Suddenly, a loud alarm sounded from the colony's sensor towers. A small meteor storm was approaching. The colonists rushed to secure their structures while the Queen and her guards stepped back, watching the humans work together. Leo coordinated the team, directing them calmly, guiding them through the preparations. The Queen observed quietly, impressed by their organization and determination. Humans were small, yes, but their unity and courage were remarkable. They did not panic. They did not fight each other. Instead, they acted together, protecting their homes and each other. After the storm passed, the colonists gathered in the central plaza. The Queen stepped forward, her glowing eyes reflecting the faint starlight. She looked at Leo, then at the colony, and spoke in a voice that carried both curiosity and respect. "You have shown me a different strength," she said. "One I have not seen in any other species. Humans are not only clever and resilient. You are compassionate. You offer peace where others offer fear. You offer warmth where others offer coldness. I will observe further. This is only the beginning, but you have my attention." Leo nodded, smiling gently. "That is all I ask. Understanding. Observe us, learn from us, and you may see that strength comes in many forms." The Queen turned, signaling her guards to step back. She lifted her head and looked toward the stars, thinking about her own world, her own people, and the countless civilizations she had encountered. For the first time, she wondered if conquest was truly the only way. She had met a human who challenged everything she believed about strength, power, and leadership. The colonists watched silently, awe and hope mingling in their hearts. They had seen the impossible, a human standing calmly before the most powerful being in the galaxy, and offering not fear, but understanding. Leo had given them more than courage. He had given them an example of what it meant to be truly human. And above them, the alien Queen's ship remained still, a silent reminder that this encounter had changed something fundamental. A new story was beginning, one where humans might not only survive but inspire even the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The next morning, the colony awoke to a sky washed in pale blue light from the twin suns. The night had passed without attack, but the tension remained. Colonists moved carefully among the buildings, checking machinery, sharing quiet words of encouragement, and glancing at the hovering ship above. The alien Queen had remained near the edge of the valley, observing silently, her glowing eyes fixed on Leo as he walked among the workers. Leo began his day by preparing a simple breakfast for himself and a small group of colonists who had stayed up late to repair power generators. Mara, the young miner, brought a small basket of fresh fruit, and Leo set it on the table. He looked up at the hovering ship. He knew the Queen was watching, curious about the humans who did not hide in fear. He took a deep breath and decided it was time for the next step. If the Queen was to understand humans, she needed to see how they lived, how they worked, and how they cared for one another. Leo gathered a small group of colonists, each skilled in a different area of life at Astra Outpost. He motioned for them to follow him toward the central plaza. The Queen descended slightly from her hovering ship, curious. She moved with slow grace, towering over the humans as they gathered. Her guards remained behind, silent and watchful. Leo gestured toward the colony buildings. "If you wish to learn, I can show you our life here," he said. The Queen tilted her head, her glowing eyes reflecting curiosity. She nodded. "Show me," she said simply. Leo led her first to the hydroponics bay, where humans grew food in carefully controlled environments. Rows of green plants stretched in neat lines, nourished by water and sunlight filtered through glass panels. Humans worked quietly, tending the plants, adjusting the nutrients, and checking for any signs of disease. "These plants feed the colony," Leo explained. "We grow food in this way because the planet's soil is poor. But we share everything we grow. No one goes hungry if we can help it." The Queen leaned closer, inspecting the leaves, the small fruits, and the careful systems that kept the plants alive. She reached out a hand, hesitant, and touched a leaf. The sensation was strange to her. soft, fragile, and delicate. She looked at Leo. "You protect life with care," she said. "Even plants?" "Yes," Leo replied. "Life is valuable. Even the smallest living thing deserves care. That is what makes us strong." Next, Leo led the Queen to the engine room where machines hummed and hissed. Colonists moved between control panels, repairing engines and coordinating the colony's energy supply. The Queen watched as humans worked together, lifting heavy parts, sharing tools, and explaining tasks to one another without frustration or anger. "One machine alone is useful," Leo said. "But humans survive through cooperation. We support each other. If one of us fails, the others step in. That is how we endure harsh worlds." The Queen observed quietly, impressed by their teamwork. She noticed how they communicated without weapons, without threats. Instead, they spoke calmly, listened carefully, and corrected mistakes with patience. It was an unfamiliar form of power, one built on trust and respect. Leo then guided the Queen to the medical bay, where colonists cared for the sick and injured. One of the workers had cut his hand while repairing equipment, and another was tending to him with careful attention. The Queen watched as humans cleaned the wound, applied antiseptics, and wrapped it with precision. "You care for each other even when it is difficult," the Queen said. "Even when it is inconvenient?" "Yes," Leo replied. "Even then, humans survive not only by fighting. We survive by protecting each other. When one suffers, the community helps. That is strength too." The Queen took a step back and regarded him thoughtfully. She had conquered countless worlds, faced armies, and demanded obedience. Yet she had never seen this kind of power, gentle, quiet, and persistent. Leo smiled and gestured toward the living quarters. "And this is where humans rest, where families share meals, where stories are told, and where lessons are learned. Life is more than survival. It is about connection, care, and understanding." Inside the living quarters, children laughed as they played simple games, while parents spoke softly, teaching lessons about safety, cooperation, and kindness. Mara approached the Queen with a small plate of bread. Hesitant at first, the Queen accepted it, tasting it carefully. The flavor was simple but comforting. For the first time, she felt something entirely new, the warmth of human life. Leo continued, "We learn from each other. We help each other grow. Even small acts like sharing food or teaching a child make a difference. That is how humans endure challenges greater than themselves." The Queen listened, fascinated. She had always relied on fear and power to command loyalty. She had not realized that another kind of strength existed, one that did not require domination. To further demonstrate this, Leo took the Queen to the training yard where colonists practiced emergency drills. They simulated meteor strikes, equipment failures, and power outages. The Queen watched as humans worked together, directing each other, sharing responsibilities, and never abandoning anyone. Even when mistakes happened, they corrected them calmly, learning from them rather than blaming. "You endure through cooperation," she said. "Not through fear?" "Yes," Leo said. "Fear is temporary. Cooperation and care are lasting. They allow us to survive where others might fail. That is the true power of humanity." The Queen remained silent for a moment, processing his words. Her glowing eyes scanned the humans around her, their hands marked with work, their clothes worn and practical, their faces showing determination and resilience. She began to see a pattern, a rhythm of life that was unfamiliar and yet compelling. Leo led her to a quiet corner of the colony, where he had prepared another small bowl of warm soup. "This is for you," he said, not as a gesture of submission, but as a gesture of sharing. Food is one of the ways humans show trust. The Queen took the bowl carefully. She tasted the soup, and a soft glow of surprise passed through her features. The warmth and simplicity of the meal carried meaning she had not expected. She looked at Leo with newfound respect. "You do not fear me," she said. "You offer instead of resist. You share instead of fight. That is strange," Leo nodded. "It is not strange. It is human. We survive not only through power but through understanding, care, and courage. That is how we endure hardships. That is how we grow stronger even when we are small." The Queen paused, considering his words. She had met countless species, all of whom feared her power or attempted to challenge it with weapons. Humans were different. They were fragile, yet they carried something far greater than she had expected. Over the next several hours, Leo showed the Queen more aspects of human life. He introduced her to teachers who taught children to read and explore, to engineers who repaired tools for everyone, and to families who shared stories of courage and hope. With each step, the Queen's curiosity deepened. She asked questions, trying to understand why humans chose cooperation over domination, why they risked themselves for others, and why they found joy in small things even on a harsh planet. Leo explained patiently. Humans value life. We value each other. Strength is not always about conquering. It is about enduring, learning, and helping. Even the smallest act of care can make a difference. That is why we survive. The Queen's guards watched quietly, unsure how to react. They had been trained to see humans as weak, unworthy of respect. Yet here they were, observing humans working together, showing courage without weapons, and offering kindness to a being far more powerful than themselves. The guards exchanged uncertain glances. Perhaps Leo was teaching them something too. By the evening, the Queen had spent the entire day among the humans. She had tasted their food, watched them work, and listened to their stories. She began to feel something unfamiliar, a connection to this species that did not rely on fear or strength. At the center of the colony, Leo prepared a final bowl of soup for the Queen. He handed it to her with a calm smile. "This is for you," he said, a gesture of trust, not weakness. We do not always need weapons to show strength. Sometimes warmth and understanding are stronger than anything else. The Queen accepted the bowl, tasting it slowly. The warmth spread through her, not just physically but emotionally. She looked at Leo and her glowing eyes softened. For the first time, she understood that strength could take many forms, and that humans possessed a form of power she had never encountered. "You have shown me a new way of seeing strength," she said. "Perhaps there is more to humans than I believed. I will continue to watch, to learn, and perhaps to understand. You have my attention, human engineer." Leo nodded. "That is all I ask. Observe us, learn from us, and you may see that humans are capable of more than fear or war. We endure, we care, and we grow stronger together." As the twin suns set completely, casting long shadows across the colony, the Queen stepped back. She lifted her head and looked toward the stars, contemplating her next move. For the first time in her life, she wondered if conquest was truly the only path. She had met a human who challenged her beliefs, and she could not ignore the lesson he had offered. The colonists watched silently, a mixture of awe and hope in their hearts. They had witnessed the impossible, a human standing calmly before the most powerful being in the galaxy and teaching her about courage, compassion, and strength. Leo had shown them that sometimes the greatest power lies not in weapons. The next day, Astra Outpost awoke to a quiet sky, but the colonists could feel tension lingering in the air. The alien Queen remained above the valley, hovering silently in her massive ship. Her glowing eyes observed the humans as they moved about their work. Leo knew this day would be different. The Queen had already seen kindness and cooperation in the colony, but she was a powerful being accustomed to testing the limits of those around her. Today she would challenge them further. Leo gathered a small group of colonists in the central plaza. Engineers, miners, and caregivers all came together to discuss the day's tasks. Mara, the young miner who had been so curious the day before, stood beside him. "Do you really think she will test us?" she asked, her voice nervous but hopeful. Leo nodded. "She is a queen. She has always relied on power to command respect. Now she is seeing something different. She may want to see if we truly live by our values or if it is only words." The Queen descended from her hovering ship and landed gracefully in the plaza. Her presence was immense, her glowing eyes studying the colony and the humans standing before her. She spoke in a voice that vibrated through the valley. "Humans are curious," she said. "You speak of trust, care, and cooperation. Words are easy. Actions reveal the truth. If you are as strong as you claim, prove it. Show me how humans respond under pressure." The colonists exchanged anxious glances. Some were afraid she intended to attack, but Leo stepped forward calmly. "We will show you, Queen Zalira," he said. "We will act not out of fear but out of courage and care." The Queen's eyes narrowed. She signaled to her guards, and they began moving toward the colony's perimeter. Their steps were measured, intimidating, but they did not attack. The Queen wanted to see the humans react under stress without the immediate threat of destruction. Leo called the colonists together. "We need to demonstrate our resilience and teamwork. Everyone follow our emergency plan. Move carefully, help each other, and protect what matters. Show her what it means to be human." The colonists sprang into action. Engineers lifted heavy equipment, repaired machinery, and coordinated energy flows. Caregivers and volunteers assisted with food distribution, while families worked together to secure living quarters. The humans acted with calm determination, each step reflecting trust and cooperation rather than panic. The Queen observed, fascinated. Her glowing eyes followed each action, noting the humans' calm focus. She had expected fear, chaos, or resistance. Instead, she saw unity, patience, and selfless care. Even when obstacles appeared, the humans did not falter. They helped each other overcome problems, sharing tools, knowledge, and support. At one point, a minor fire broke out in a storage building due to a malfunctioning energy unit. Alarms blared and smoke filled the air. Most species would panic under such conditions, but the humans responded quickly. Leo directed a team to control the fire, while others assisted in evacuating colonists nearby. Mara grabbed buckets and helped douse the flames with water, while engineers stabilized the energy unit to prevent further damage. The Queen leaned closer, her glowing eyes following every action. She saw the humans act not out of fear of her, but out of a desire to protect one another. The warmth of their determination, the courage in their hearts, was a form of strength she had never encountered. When the fire was finally under control, Leo approached the Queen. "This is who we are," he said. "We face danger together. We protect each other, even when we are afraid. That is how humans survive." The Queen studied him silently, a flicker of admiration in her glowing eyes. "Your courage is remarkable, but I need to see more. Words and actions in one day are not enough. Show me that humanity can act with honor even when faced with the unknown." Leo nodded. He turned to the colonists. "Prepare for a test. We will act as a single unit. No one fights alone. Everyone protects each other. We will show the Queen what true human strength looks like." The Queen raised her hand, and her guards moved closer to the colony in a coordinated formation. Their movements were precise and intimidating, but they did not attack. Leo knew this was the ultimate test. The humans had to maintain their composure, their cooperation, and their care under the gaze of a powerful alien force. Leo led the colonists through a simulated evacuation exercise. They moved through narrow corridors, assisted the elderly and children, and ensured that critical equipment remained operational. At every step, humans encouraged one another, celebrated small successes, and learned from mistakes. Even minor setbacks like a falling crate or a misaligned panel were met with teamwork rather than blame. The Queen watched silently, amazed. Her guards, trained to expect chaos and fear from weaker species, were equally surprised. Humans were small and fragile compared to her, but their unity, patience, and courage were extraordinary. Leo then prepared another simple gesture of trust. He set up a small station with bowls of warm soup. This time he invited not only the Queen but also her guards to taste it. Hesitant at first, the aliens approached, unsure what to expect. When the warm soup touched their senses, something shifted. The warmth and simplicity of the meal carried a message they had never encountered. Trust and care without obligation, power, or fear. The Queen tasted the soup slowly, savoring it. She looked at Leo, and her glowing eyes reflected a growing respect. "You lead not with force," she said softly, "but with compassion. You teach your people courage, care, and trust. This is different from any civilization I have known." Leo smiled. "Strength is not always in weapons or power. Sometimes it is in the heart. Humans survive through understanding and cooperation, not just through fear or domination. That is our true power." The Queen considered his words carefully. She had ruled through power for centuries, commanding loyalty through fear and respect. She had never encountered a species that relied on empathy, courage, and care to survive. Her mind was filled with questions, curiosity, and a hint of admiration. To test the humans further, she called her guards to simulate an attack. They moved as if to strike, but Leo instructed the colonists to respond not with violence but with organization and protection. Humans guided each other to safety, reinforced structures, and shared knowledge to prevent damage. They acted calmly, without panic, without aggression, and without anger. The Queen watched every moment. She saw humans acting with honor, protecting each other without fear, and showing patience even in the face of potential harm. For the first time, she understood that strength could be expressed through care, courage, and unity rather than force. Finally, the simulation ended. The humans stood together in the plaza, calm, composed, and unharmed. The queen stepped forward, her glowing eyes filled with respect. She had seen humans tested under pressure, and she had witnessed their courage and cooperation. She realized that their power was not in strength alone, but in the principles that guided them. "You have passed this test of trust and courage," she said. "Humans are stronger than I believed. Your unity, patience, and care are remarkable. I have seen that power is not always in weapons. Sometimes it is in the heart." Leo bowed slightly, a gesture of humility. "We are not perfect," he said. "We make mistakes, we face challenges, but we survive because we act together. That is the way of humanity." The queen nodded, her massive form glowing faintly under the twin suns. She called her guards back, signaling the end of the test. She looked at the humans with a new understanding. "I will not destroy this colony," she said. "I will watch, learn, and see if your way of strength endures. Perhaps there is more to humans than I have ever imagined." The colonists exhaled in relief, their hearts light with hope. They had faced a test from the most powerful being in the galaxy, and had passed through courage, unity, and care. Leo smiled at the colonists, proud of their calm determination and teamwork. As the twin suns set, casting long shadows across the valley, the queen lifted her head and looked toward the stars. She pondered her own ways, her own civilization, and the countless worlds she had conquered. For the first time, she considered that domination was not the only path. Humans had shown her a different kind of strength, one she could not ignore. Leo stood among the colonists, watching the queen depart slowly back toward her hovering ship. He felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that humanity had not only survived but had begun to teach one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy a lesson about courage, trust, and compassion. Above Astra Outpost, the alien queen's ship glowed softly, a symbol of change and the beginning of a new understanding between species. Humans had shown that strength was not always measured in force. Sometimes it was measured in the heart, in the choices to care, to protect, and to act with honor. The colony settled for the night, their spirits lifted. They had faced a challenge unlike any before, and had demonstrated the true meaning of humanity. Leo prepared another bowl of warm soup, not for survival this time, but as a quiet celebration of trust, courage, and the enduring power of human compassion. The morning sun rose over Astra Outpost, bathing the colony in a soft golden light. The twin suns warmed the valley, and for the first time in days, the humans felt a sense of calm. The alien queen had not left, but her ship hovered quietly above the valley, almost as if she were thinking. Leo knew that the final test was coming. This day would decide not only the future of the colony, but also how the humans would be remembered by the most powerful being they had ever encountered. Leo walked among the colonists, checking on their preparations. Everyone was calm, confident, and united. The fire drills, engineering checks, and teamwork exercises of the past days had strengthened them, not just in skills but in trust. Mara and a group of young miners helped distribute breakfast while engineers completed repairs on vital machinery. Everyone was working together, not because of fear, but because they believed in one another. High above, the alien queen observed. Queen Zalira's glowing eyes scanned the colony, noting every detail. She had seen humans act with patience, courage, and care. She had seen them survive tests of skill, of fire, and of teamwork. She had tasted their simple meals and seen their willingness to share and help even her guards. And now, she faced a decision she had never imagined, whether to act as a conqueror or to learn from a species she had underestimated. Leo stood in the central plaza, waiting. He did not fear the queen. He understood her power, but he also knew that humans had something far greater than sheer strength, the power of compassion, courage, and understanding. The queen descended from her ship, her massive form glowing in the sunlight. Her guards followed, moving in a precise formation, but there was no hostility in their movements. They seemed almost curious, as if uncertain what to expect from the humans below. "You have shown me courage, patience, and unity," the queen said, her voice deep and resonant. "You have faced tests without fear, even when the outcome was uncertain. You have cared for each other and even for those who might have been your enemies. You are unlike any species I have known." Leo stepped forward. "We are human," he said simply. "We survive by helping each other, by acting with courage, and by choosing care over destruction whenever we can. That is our true strength." The queen regarded him for a long moment. She had conquered countless worlds and faced countless civilizations. But she had never met a being like Leo. He had faced her without fear, guided his people with patience, and shown a level of understanding she had not expected. She realized that humans were fragile in body, but strong in heart. To test her final understanding, the queen spoke to her guards. Observe these humans. See how they act under my gaze. Are they truly worthy of life, or do they falter under pressure? The guards moved carefully, watching, but they saw no faltering. Humans worked together seamlessly, helping one another and responding calmly to every challenge. Even small obstacles, such as a broken panel or a malfunctioning water supply, were addressed quickly and efficiently with shared effort and cooperation. The queen lowered her gaze to Leo. You have taught me something extraordinary. I have ruled through fear and power for centuries, but I see now that there is another form of strength. One that comes from trust, compassion, and courage. I must reconsider my ways. Leo nodded. You do not need to destroy us to prove strength. You can observe, learn, and even choose friendship. That is a greater test than any battle. The queen stepped closer, her massive form casting a shadow over the plaza. She looked at the colonists and spoke clearly. I will not destroy this colony. I will not harm your people. Instead, I will return to my world with a new understanding. Humans are capable of strength I did not expect, and I will respect that. A cheer erupted among the colonists, though quietly, so as not to startle the queen. They had faced the most powerful being in the galaxy and had been spared, not through weapons or surrender, but through courage, cooperation, and kindness. Leo smiled at the colonists, proud of their calm determination and trust in one another. To seal the gesture of peace, Leo prepared one final bowl of warm soup. He approached the queen carefully and handed it to her. For you, he said softly, not as a gesture of weakness, but as a gesture of trust and friendship. The queen took the bowl, her glowing eyes reflecting both surprise and understanding. She tasted the soup slowly, savoring its warmth and simplicity. It was not food that would sustain her body, but a symbol of humanity's compassion. You have given me more than food, the queen said. You have given me insight. You have shown me that strength can be measured in courage, compassion, and understanding, not just in weapons or power. Humans are extraordinary. Leo bowed slightly. We are not perfect, he said. We have flaws, we make mistakes, but we survive because we care for each other. That is the lesson of humanity. The queen's expression softened, a rare gesture among her kind. I will remember this. I will carry it back to my people, and perhaps in time others will learn what you have shown me. Her guards stepped back, signaling that the queen's judgment was final. They had watched humans act with honor and courage, and they too felt a new respect for the species they had once been ordered to dominate. Leo looked around at the colonists. Mara smiled, holding a small tray of fruit. Engineers, miners, and caregivers stood proudly, knowing that they had survived not through force but through unity and trust. Every small act of cooperation and care had contributed to the survival of the colony and the lesson imparted to the alien queen. The queen took a final look at the humans. I will not return as a conqueror, she said. I will return as an observer, perhaps even as a student. You have taught me that true power lies in care, courage, and trust. That is something no weapon can achieve. With a gentle motion, she signaled her guards. They retreated to the ship, moving with precision and dignity. The queen followed, her glowing eyes lingering on Leo for a final moment. Then she lifted into the sky, her massive ship ascending gracefully, reflecting the sunlight in brilliant colors. The colonists watched in silence until the ship disappeared among the stars. Then slowly cheers and applause filled the valley. They had witnessed a miracle, the sparing of their colony through courage, compassion, and wisdom. They had learned that humanity's strength was not only in survival, but in the choices they made and the care they showed to each other, and even to a powerful alien queen. Leo turned to the colonists. Remember this, he said. Our strength is in our courage, our compassion, and our ability to act together. That is how humans endure. That is how humans grow. The colonists nodded, understanding the lesson. They had seen it in action over the past days, in the fire drills, the teamwork, the care for the injured, and the sharing of simple meals. Humanity's power was more than technology or weapons. It was their heart, their unity, and their choice to act with honor even in the face of uncertainty. Mara approached Leo, holding a small plate of soup. For you, she said, smiling. to celebrate what we've learned today. Leo took the bowl and smiled. Thank you, Mara. But the real celebration is how we acted together. That is the true strength of humanity. The colonists gathered in the central plaza, sharing stories of courage and care. They laughed, helped one another, and reflected on the lessons of the past days. The experience with the alien queen had changed them, not only as survivors but as a community capable of inspiring respect, even from the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Above the valley, the alien queen's ship disappeared beyond the horizon, carrying with it a new understanding of humanity. She had learned that strength was not measured in power alone, but in courage, compassion, and unity. Humanity had shown her that the smallest species could teach the greatest beings a lesson in honor and care. As the sun set, casting warm light across Astra Outpost, Leo prepared a final simple meal for the colonists. They sat together enjoying the warmth, sharing laughter and stories. The colony had survived not through fear, weapons, or surrender, but through their heart and their humanity. The stars began to twinkle above, and somewhere far away the alien queen considered what she had witnessed. She thought of the humans who had faced her without fear, who had shared meals, helped one another, and acted with courage and honor. She realized that humanity's true power was in their choices, their care, and their unity. Leo looked up at the sky, feeling a quiet pride. Humanity had endured another test, and in doing so, had shown that strength was not always measured in conquest, but in compassion, courage, and understanding. The alien queen had left changed, and so had the colonists. A bond had been formed, not through fear, but through trust, care, and shared humanity. In that quiet moment, Astra Outpost stood as a symbol of hope. Humans had faced the galaxy's greatest power and had emerged not only alive but respected, and in the warmth of shared meals, laughter, and courage, they had proven that sometimes the greatest victories are won without weapons, with nothing more than a warm heart and a bowl of soup. The story of that day would be told for generations, not as a tale of fear, not as a tale of war, but as a tale of humanity's courage, compassion, and the simple power of trust and warmth. And somewhere in the stars, the alien queen remembered a human named Leo, who had taught her that strength could shine brighter through kindness than through power.